Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Urban Backyard Container Gardening. I'm Moses, and today we're going to discuss onions. You're looking at some white phantom onions that I put out. I put them out way before it was time to do so, and didn't realize that it wasn't time to do so. So a large part of them died. But it seems like I am going to have at least 5 onions. This is my 3rd year gardening, and I've had a lot of ups and downs, and without a doubt, perhaps the hardest lesson to learn has been growing onions. First of all, not knowing what long day, intermediate, and short day onions were, when I first started gardening, just went ahead and put seeds in the dirt, and I grew some very nice looking scallions or green onions. The onions did not bulb whatsoever. So you heard me mention intermediate, short day, and long day onions. You might ask yourself, if you knew, what exactly does that mean? Well, depending upon where you live at in the country or in the world, onions are divided up into 3 growing phases. The long day, meaning that if you're up in places like Maine and New York, places like that, it is recommended that you grow long day onions, because they will need a longer length of time before they start bulbing. If you live in the middle part of the country, let's say Maryland, you would have intermediate onions. And if you're like me in the southern part of the country, it is recommended that you grow short day onions. So after I found out that I'm supposed to be growing short day onions, I ordered some onion sets. You can grow onions as seeds, you can grow them as sets, and you can even grow the bottoms of store-bought onions and just place them in the dirt, or place them in water till roots come out, and then place it in dirt and they will grow. None of this I didn't know when I first started. Okay, you heard me mention that you can order seeds and sets online. I ordered a set of onions from a company called Dixondale. They are very reputable, and when I got my order in the mail, I followed the directions. It said to soak the roots in water for 24 hours and then go ahead and plant as normal. So I did that. And as I said, I had really nice scallions, no bulbing onions whatsoever. So after doing some more research, I found out that onions require, in addition to having lots of green tops, each of the greens represents a ring in the onion. So the more green tops that you have, the more rings you're going to have in the onions. What makes the onions bulb is something called ammonium sulfate. I didn't know that at the time, so I would feed them like I normally would feed any other plant with my Agro Thrive and Jack's Bloom. And while they were nice and green, they never did bulb, so I really didn't have any onions. It wasn't until last year, and I'll put a picture up over so you can see the results, that I found out that onions require ammonium sulfate. So I started using that, and when it was time for the onions to start bulbing, voila, they bulbed. So I had my first successful planting of onions in year 3 of growing my own vegetables. Now, while they weren't very big, you can imagine how happy I was to actually have onions growing. So I have decided that as far as growing onions go, I prefer to grow them from seeds. Now, you can buy bulbs from your local big box store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, even Tractor Supply. Or you can buy sets, like I said, from Dixondale offline, or you can grow your own from seeds. So I grow mine from seeds. And what I have for this year, I have a variety of red onions called red grand onion, and I have a Texas early grand white onion. Both of these I got from Isla's Garden Seed Company, and they're heirloom seeds. The way that I start my onions, I place them in a sterile seed starting mix, such as this, and I go ahead and pour some into the container, and then I cover it up with perlite, and I make sure, I make sure that the soil stays moist, not wet, but that it stays moist. When you first start seeing onions come up, don't know if you can really see here, but both parts of the onion will be in the dirt and look like a loop. Maybe here on the white ones, you can see better. There's a few that are coming up in this one. And then the part that actually has the seed, the black dots that you see, are the seed caps, and it will actually break through the soil and start growing. Once the seeds start breaking through the soil, I start feeding my onions on maybe once or twice a week with a solution of AgroThrive or fish emulsion and water. So I want them to start getting used to being pushed as far as growing. So when I do get ready to put them in the ground, I want them to be as thick, or as possibly as thick as a pencil. If you can picture in your mind what a pencil looks like, that's how I want my onions to be. Now, this is going to take some time. So I will also, while they're growing, I will trim the tops of the onions back once or twice, and the onions will continue to grow. It makes them stronger, and it doesn't hurt them in any way. As far as the ammonium sulfate, this is what I'm talking about. You can buy ammonium sulfate where you could put it in a trench alongside your onions and cover it up, and it will be slowly released over time. Or you can do like this and have water soluble sulfate. So for this, with every gallon of water, I put 3 teaspoons, I'm sorry, 3 tablespoons. And so my watering container is 2 gallons, so 6 tablespoons. It will dissolve, and then I water on the onions as necessary. So if I do everything right, I will have some nice, healthy plants to put out. And I'm not going to put them in buckets or anything like I did last year. I'm going to experiment, as Broke Farmer says, and I'm going to put them in my green stock planter. I've seen and heard others have been successful doing that, so I'm going to try and see if I can do it. This is the green stock planter that I'm going to use. If all the seeds, if I get 100% germination rate, I should have about maybe 18 onions. And I'm going to try to put them in here. Um, Whatever the germination rate is, I'm going to plant them in here. I'm interested to see if they grow, and if I can get them to grow in here. So I want to thank you for coming along with me while I discussed my growth curve or learning curve with onions. If you got anything out of it, please give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, take a moment to consider doing so. It's free, doesn't cost you a cent, and you can help me out at the same time. If you do subscribe to my channel, go ahead and hit the like button, and don't forget to hit the all notifications so you'll be notified whenever I upload new content. The learning curve for me with onions was frustrating, but I would say worth it and necessary. I know how to grow onions now, and hopefully I will have the nice big bulbing onions that I see others have on other YouTube channels. So until next time, always remember, even in small spaces such as mine, you can grow a great amount of food for yourself and your family. Stay strong, stay blessed, and grow, grow, grow. Lastly, remember to give the thanks to God, for without Him, we are nothing. Until next time, take care